To sort of walk through the public information open house presentation, where we're going to be giving 3 times tonight, again from 2 to 8. My name again is Michael Hatchell with WEMG. I'm going to be the technical director, sort of managing the design build contract for WEMG.
Your plan should work.
Yes. Yeah. Excellent. The purpose of this public information open house, there are 4 things we want to try to get accomplished at this open house. First is introduce the design, build, finance, maintain team, so you'll know who is going to be doing the project. The second item is to provide information on the parkway design and construction process that we're going to be going through over the next 4 years and then 30 years of maintenance after that. Third is introduce the landscape master plan, and AHA will be going through that and telling you what we're doing from a landscaping and master plan standpoint. And then last is for the public to understand the role in the consultation process and to obtain input from the public on that process. That's what we want to get accomplished through the open house. Next, the Windsor Essex Parkway is the access road leading to, but not including the inspection plaza, and most of you guys know that. This will be the interim project before the next project, which will include the plaza itself. The parkway was approved in August of 2009 by the Ontario government. And this will be the most significant single highway investment in Ontario's history and will create an estimated 12,000 jobs. Now that 12,000 jobs is probably about 1,100 to 1,500 direct construction jobs, and the rest is a ripple effect of the project being in there and the dollars that will be spent in the area. This gives you the limits of the project. Now this pointer doesn't work on the screen, but on the east end, around North Talbot on 401 is where it starts. And it runs up to around Ojibwe Parkway, and that area is where it ends. And again, it does not include the station and the ultimate bridge. Those will be separate contracts. So this contract is in where it says limits of the Windsor Essex Parkway. That's what we're building right now and maintaining. Transportation features. We're going to build a new urban 6-lane freeway. It's 66 single-lane equivalent kilometers. How do you get 66 lane kilometers? It's an 11-kilometer project, and there's 6 lanes. 11 times 6, 66 kilometers. So that's where that came from. We'll also build a parallel 4-lane service road network. Highway 3 will be 4 lanes running right beside the 401. And it'll switch sides throughout the project, and you can see that on the map behind you if you want after the meeting. It'll be full illumination. We'll have lighting for the 401 and lighting for the trail system that we're building. Stormwater management facilities. There'll be 7 pump stations and also stormwater ponds to deal with the drainage on the project. Advanced traffic management systems. We'll have variable message signs where you can sort of change the message on the sign, let people know what's coming and what's happening in the area. We'll have cameras, etc., as far as the traffic management system is concerned. We have a commitment to maintain traffic in the corridor during construction. We want to make sure we have the same number of lanes going through the construction project as we're building it for most instances. There are a few exceptions at night in some special cases, but for the most part we'll have the same number of lanes going through the project during construction. Community environmental features. The approved EA established a basic footprint and some basic parameters that are going to have to be built as part of the project. We're required to make sure we have 11 kilometers of freeway, which is the 6 kilometers of that being below grade. 11 tunnels, with about 1.8 kilometers of freeway with those 11 tunnels. And they've started to define where those tunnels are going to be within the footprint. More than 300 acres of green space on Parkway, and AHA will be going through a lot of that soon. And then 20 kilometers of recreational trail. We'll be running through it and connecting to some trails on either end. So that's what was part of the environmental assessment, the EA that was been approved for the project. Work completed to date. There's a lot been going on. You've probably seen that in the corridor over the past couple of years. They've procured a private sector partner, which is WEMG, Windsor Essex Mobility Group, is on board now. They've relocated 4 major utility lines and removed 2 hydro towers. They've transplanted hundreds of willow leaf aster plants, species at risk, have already been transplanted. There's a lot more to be transplanted. acquisition of 900 required properties, and that's a huge issue for construction. To help construction move smoother is getting that right away out of the way. So it helps us get in and get started faster by having that done. Move of 169 buildings, houses and small businesses have already been removed. We've got about 200 more to do. Initial construction of 2 bridges on the east end, bridges 13 and 14, along with about 2 kilometers of noise walls, have already been completed. And they've also changed the highway designations for portions of Huron Church, EC Road, Expressway, and Ojibwe Parkway. So that's what's taken place to date. Some other features of the project: the advanced traffic management systems, which will have the loop detectors, the cameras, and the variable message signs that we were talking about. Lighting for the tunnels and trail systems. What's interesting is if you think about the lighting for the tunnels, there'll be more lights in the tunnel during the day almost than there is at night, or close to an equal amount, because you want to make sure as you're driving the corridor, that there's no real difference as you're driving outside the tunnel or inside the tunnel. So it's a consistent ride from a safety standpoint as you're going through. We'll also be dark sky compliant, so we're going to sort of watch where the lighting is going, so you don't have a lot of bleed over from that lighting within the communities. The commitment to ecological landscapes, the landscape function, we're looking at protecting the natural environment through those landscapes and establishing new habitat as part of those landscapes that we're going through. Ecological restoration, design and implementation. We're putting in non-invasive species. We're monitoring the plantings that we are putting in. We want to maintain or optimize the size of the patch of the area that we're putting in of these species to make sure they have a better chance of surviving and growing. And then protection of species at risk. We know there's a couple of snakes that are involved. You may have heard of that already. You have the Butler garter snake and the eastern fox snake. We're building snake fences in the area to keep those outside of the construction zone. And those fences are actually about over 6 feet in height. We had a 2x4 in fabric because the snakes can actually climb. So you've seen some of that out there already with some of the early works that have been done. Windsor Essex Mobility. Who is Windsor Essex Mobility Group? It's 3 companies involved. You have ACS, Acciona, and Fluor. Those 3 companies are 3 of the world's largest infrastructure development companies. They have more than 100 projects underway in 40+ countries. So they've got a lot of experience doing large projects. If you look at ACS and Acciona, they're actually building the 830 project in Montreal right now, which is a $1 billion+ job. Again, similar type project. So we've done this kind of work before. Fluor is a company, currently has projects of over $30 billion underway. So we're large companies and familiar with these kind of projects. If you look at the 830 project in Montreal, about 75 to 80% of that work is all subcontracted out to local contractors. So we try to keep a lot of the money that actually stays locally because of that. This job will probably be similar to that. When we're building this, a lot of it will be subcontracted out, and Emico, where we are today, is one of our subcontractors to do this work. When you think of these 3 companies, these 3 companies formed a company called Windsor Essex Mobility Group. So WEMG will actually design, build, finance, and maintain this project. They'll oversee the design, build contractor, and then be responsible for the 30 years of maintenance. For about 34 years, we'll be in the area. WEMG will be. We've also created a Parkway Infrastructure Contractors, consisting of the same 3 contractors, ACS, Dragados, Acciona, and Fluor. And there's a contract with them to actually build the job, this initial works. So when you sort of think about where we are from a contracting standpoint, to sort of lay some of that out, you've got Infrastructure Ontario Ministry of Transportation at the top. They're the owner of the roadway. You've got WMG. There's a company that's been created there to actually design, build, finance, and maintain this road, and I'm part of that organization. We have a contract with Parkway Infrastructure Contractors, Constructors, excuse me, and Pat Strickland in the back is the director for that effort. And so there's actually a contract between WEMG and IOMTO, and there's a contract between WMG and PIC. And my responsibility is to manage the overall design build contract on this project. Looking at the freeway itself, we're showing two cross sections here. The top cross section is on the west end around the EC Row area. And you can see, again, the 6-lane freeway, that 401 that we'll be building. This is where it comes out of the depressed area, and it's starting to come in and head back down into the toilet, at the end on the west end. The bottom section shows the 401 in the depressed area, where we've lowered the grade. On the left, where you see the Highway 3, that's where the existing grade is now. That's where you're traveling now with your vehicles. So we're going to be dropping it 6, 7, 8 meters, and so it'll get the trucks out of the visual sight of local communities. It'll also help with noise in the area by doing that. Five major structure types to be constructed. Again, you've got the 14 bridges. Of those 14 bridges, there are 3 different types. And for the engineers in the room, you've got post-tension box girders, you've got pre-stressed girders, and then you've got rigid frame, or the type of structures you're building now. There are 11 tunnels along the parkway, and those locations have all been identified, and they're on the drawing behind you. There are 10 trail crossings being built, and there's 2 different types of trail crossings. They're under crossings, and then they're bridges for the trail crossings. There are 2 submerged culverts, and you've got to get water from the two sides of the roadway. So they're working like siphons, actually, to move the water across. And then there's 7 pumping stations to deal with the drainage and on the 401 itself, and to pump the water up to the ponds on either side.